Welcome to the lABLEd podcast, a show about disability, illness and difference. I'm Lucy.
And I'm Alice. And that's Lola.
Kaleidoscope identity, and this is who I'm meant to be. I'm just labeled me. I'm just labeled me.
Hi guys! Don't forget, in this episode, I might swear, Lucy might cry, and you can check out details of the trigger warnings on our website.
Hi everybody, and welcome to another episode of the lABLEd podcast with me and Lucy. Luce, how have you been?
I'm all right, thanks, Alice. How are you?
Yeah, I'm not so bad.
I'm very glad to see you because
Yeah.
I've had a very full week.
Oh, bless
So
you.
it's all, we're getting there now, though. It's, normality is slowly returning to life, and I don't like it.
You got used
Well,
to
honest-
just being in your PJs all the time.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah. No, don't like it. But yeah, I'm all right. How have you been? All right?
Yeah. I'm
We've
trying
not
to
done a
think.
podcast record for a long time, have
I
we?
just noticed that before we came on that we haven't recorded for nearly a month.
We've had a little bit of time off, but now we're back.
Constantly bothering each other and talking to each other and bothering Adam, but haven't actually done any sensible recording.
No.
But
we're back.
we
We're
are back. I'm sure you guys are really pleased. We are back today with Jasmine Leslie, who's here to talk to us a little bit about her life with arthritis and the one of the campaigns that she's working on with the Versus Arthritis organisation. So, Jasmine, do you want to introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit about you?
Yeah, sure. Hi, I'm Jasmine. I'm 17 and I was diagnosed with juvenile arthritis when I was 7. So I've had the condition for quite a while now. So I know I've gone through everything with it. It's a big part of me. Yeah, and I'm studying my A-levels at the moment. I'm doing maths, physics and biology, which is quite stressful actually, but yeah, it's all good.
Wow.
Feeling good.
Yeah, that I can't imagine now when I did my A-levels, what feels like a million years ago because I'm so old. Like it was stressful enough just that trying to, I imagine, do that with COVID, and then also, with a condition like arthritis, that must be just all the things at once.
Yeah, it really is. With my GCSEs as well, I actually did the exams, which it was really stressful time for me, which made my arthritis completely flare during the time, which just makes it a whole another level of difficult than what it should already be. So then now with it being with COVID as well, then at least I've done it before with my GCSEs, but it's a completely different situation again, trying to get used to doing even more exams at the moment, trying to get the teacher assessed grades and everything. It's just it's a stressful situation at the moment, but it'll be over soon, hopefully.
So, Jasmine, does things like stress and what kind of things affect your arthritis and make it worse? Is there anything really that eases your symptoms with the arthritis?
Yeah, so I've definitely found that stress has really impacted my arthritis. Whenever I'm in a stressful situation like my exams or revision, then my arthritis flares, which then obviously makes me more stressed because I'm having to go to hospital and missing school. And then it's just everything at once, and it's kind of a vicious cycle when it comes to stress and my arthritis. Also things like the weather and like anything, exercise sometimes triggers it, sometimes helps it. That's the thing with arthritis that people don't seem to understand, is that 1 minute it's completely fine with something that you're doing, and then the next minute it flares and everything's really bad, and it's so unpredictable. I think people don't realize that the condition fluctuates so much like as it does. One week I can be completely fine. I actually do performing, so I perform on stage. I do the school shows, performing in shows like Grease, and like Little Shop of Horrors and stuff. But then the week after, it's really impacted my arthritis. And people don't see that, because I've been performing one week and dancing and singing and looking really happy because that's what I want to do. Then the next week, I'm really struggling with it because I've gone through all of that for my own enjoyment.
It's kind of like, I suppose, do you know that you're going to pay for it almost when you're on stage? You think, I know I'm going to pay for this next week, but I'm going to do it anyway.
I go into the week of like performance, upping my pain medication and like just to get through it, because I'm not going to let it stop me from doing what I want to do, obviously. And I want to perform on stage. That's what I really enjoy doing. So I'm not going to say that I can't do it just because I know that I'm going to suffer the next week. And then that's when people think that you're just faking it. You're just doing the things that you want to do, and then acting like it's really bad when the thing, like the next week, like you're really suffering with it. And it's not like that. You do suffer from it.
Yeah.
I think it's probably quite an alien concept for a lot of people who don't have pain or those kinds of issues. My eye condition, I get migraines, and they're very much brought on by sort of stress and overwork. So I will work myself. I've had a really rough few weeks with my day job, been working a lot of overtime, and I've pushed through for about 3 weeks, and then got my period, and it was just like my body went, no, this is too much, can't do any more of this. And I just had to sit on the sofa for a week because I just, I couldn't focus my eyes, my brain fog was really bad. And it was, I think my husband's wonderful and very caring and understanding, but I don't think he really appreciates the difference between trying to focus on responding to work emails and things like that and sitting on the sofa drinking tea and watching Midsummer Murders. It's not the same.
I mean, I have cerebral palsy, so I haven't got arthritis, but I am in some sort of level of pain all the time. Never goes away. I wake up with it. I go to bed with it. It's there all the time. And there have been times where I have said to Alice, we can't record a podcast, for instance, late on in the evening because I've been in my chair all day, and by 6 o'clock my body's going, no more, thank you.
I completely understand that. Yeah.
It's like, no, we're not doing this. And there are times where I do things and I think I'm going to pay for this in the morning, but I am not going to sit at home all day on my own, not seeing my friends, not going to enjoy myself because, I'm still relatively, note the word relatively, young.
Exactly, yeah. I feel like going out with my friends and even going to school, then it distracts me a little bit from, I feel like if I just stayed in bed because I'm in pain every day, then it would just make me think about it more and it would make it worse.
Exactly.
Obviously, sometimes you do need that break, but most of the time I prefer getting out and being distracted from my pain, which I think is why lockdown was really difficult, because it was just sat at home thinking about my pain all day, and it was awful. I couldn't find anything to distract myself from it.
And I suppose the stress of the pandemic as well. I know my muscles were stiffer than usual, and I was just like, I can't. The stress and the worry and not sleeping because we're in the middle of a pandemic, and if anybody breathed on me, there was a potential I could end up in hospital. That was enough to make me go, I can't sleep. I can't,
Yeah,
so,
and it was the shock of the change of routine as well. Suddenly, not going out and then coming home, and it was such a change of routine that it really impacted the way that I felt. And then going back to school again was then another shock. Kind of going from sitting at home all day to then suddenly intense working hours. It was really difficult that week. Yeah.
Can you describe, Jasmine, how it felt for you being diagnosed with something like arthritis at such an early age? Because you said you were 7.
Yeah, I was 7.
When you were diagnosed with the arthritis, were you young? Were you old enough to understand what arthritis was, or did the realization of I've got arthritis and this is what is considered to be an old person's problem? It's not necessarily, you know, automatically think arthritis affects young people, do you? So was it a kind of a realization when you got to sort of a teenage sort of year where you thought, okay, I can kind of, this is a bit of a shock?
Yeah, so I don't particularly remember like being told about my diagnosis. I don't know whether I've just blocked it from my memory or if I was so young that I just didn't really understand. I know my mum was definitely, she didn't know that young people got arthritis, and as most people don't. So she was definitely quite shocked by it. I don't remember me personally being like knowing what arthritis was in particular. I remember like reading a book at school or something, and it mentioned an old person having arthritis, and I was a bit confused. This was when I was in secondary school, so a little bit older than that. And I was a bit confused at, I thought that was what I had, you know. I think it took me a while to get to understand it fully. And now that I'm older, then I try and do my research and try and like spread awareness of it to everyone, because I know a lot of people don't understand that young people can get arthritis, and also the fact that it's an invisible condition. I look physically normal most of the time,
Yeah.
And yeah, it's, people don't look at me and think that I'm disabled when actually that's what I am.
Yeah.
It's interesting. My knowledge and experience of arthritis is generally amongst kind of the elderly population. The only difference is that I know is my nan had rheumatoid arthritis from the age of about 20. She was quite young.
Yeah.
And, you know, I know that kind of just appeared for her. And I know how much it impacted my mum's life, you know, from a very, very young age. How did you kind of come to, or how did your parents come to getting you sort of taking you for analysis or assessment? Analysis makes you sound like you're some kind of science project
experiment. It does feel like you're an experiment sometimes. But yeah. Yeah, I think it was really intense to start with. It was picked up because I used to do ballet dancing, and I think it was just my ballet teacher said, "Oh, Jasmine, your knee looks really big. Is it normally like that?" And I looked at it and I was like, "Oh, I guess it is." So I just went to the doctors. They did some blood tests, sent me to the hospital. I think they just drained it and then sent me away, and then it swelled up again. So I went back, and my diagnosis was quite quick, actually. I know a lot of people's, it takes a long time, particularly as health professionals. It's not even that known in the medical sector. So health professionals kind of don't look at a young child and think, oh, that's arthritis. I think it is becoming more of
on
knowledge
the radar
now. Now, but before then it wasn't. Then there was so many hospital visits, and it was so intense, and it still has been now, going trial and error on different medications throughout my whole childhood, basically. And it's really some of the medications that I've been on have really affected even me now. I still worry about them. I used to have injections once a week. My mum used to do them. They didn't even have the pen type ones then. Oh, yeah. It was a syringe. So my mum would be injecting me when I was 8, 9, 10 years old every week, and it would make me feel horrible for 2 days. And I got to the point where I couldn't be on it anymore. And the medication was the colour yellow. I get like migraines and feel horrible from the colour yellow. Yeah. Same with like anyone touching my thighs or anything. I get really paranoid about it, and talking about it, I get this horrible like taste in my mouth that I used to get after it. My mum always used to like use the same hand cream and stuff before she did it, and I can't be near that smell now either. And it's just
really traumatized you.
And it's crazy because it's not, obviously I know a lot of people go through a lot more, but even just injections once a week like that, and it really affects people with arthritis. And I think people don't understand what that's like, because I know a lot of other young people with arthritis that have the same side effects from it. And now they've developed loads of new drug technologies, but they still start on that same medication for young people, which isn't needed when we have biologics now. And it's, I think it's the awareness in health professionals as well as the public, but health professionals as well need to understand about children and arthritis to make it better for us.
I always think it must be very difficult for people who've got hidden disabilities to decide, right, who do I tell that I've got this hidden condition? So, you know, you either go one way, you tell everybody, just so you know.
Public service announcement.
I've got arthritis. Can we just acknowledge that now and get it out of the way? Or do you, you know, that it's making that decision of doing that, or just not saying anything unless you feel the need to go, okay, actually, I need to tell you now, I've got arthritis. So when you say the words, I have arthritis, what is people's reaction? You know, like,
definitely.
How do they sort of say, no, you haven't, you have got arthritis?
Definitely when I was younger, I don't remember specifically, but I remember there was either a lot of, oh, that's what my nan has, or oh, what, or just what's that? Like, obviously when I was younger, people just didn't know what that was. I always used to avoid using the term arthritis. I think because there's so much stigma around it being an old person's condition, that it's kind of like a trigger word for people saying arthritis. People go, oh, you should take. My nan's got that. You should try taking turmeric, you know. And you're like, if that was a solution, then we'd all be fine, you know.
Holland and Barrett does that. Can I have a drip, please?
So I used to just say like, I've got bad knees, or if anyone asked, I'd kind of brush it off like it wasn't a big deal, because I've never wanted to have like a sit down conversation with somebody as it being like a major thing about me, because I don't want that to be the defining thing about me, the first thing that someone knows about me. I've always wanted it to kind of be like a side thing and not really a big deal, even though it is a huge thing in my life, and it's definitely made me the person I am.
It's
I don't
walking
want
that line,
to be
isn't it?
I don't want people to think of me and think arthritis. You know, I want to be something more than just my arthritis.
First of all, do you use the term arthritis now you're a bit older, or do you tend not to?
I mean, now I've obviously gone through secondary school, switched friendship groups. I'm not entirely sure. Who knows anymore? I kind of, and I'm not worried about it at all. I don't know whether my whole sixth form knows about it, or if only the few people that I occasionally mention it to know about it. But I try and do like awareness within my sixth form, like trying to do an assembly, or people like donating towards a charity that's supporting people with arthritis. So in that scenario, I would use the word arthritis. But I feel like even still now, I do use the word if I'm talking to my friends, but I always feel a bit hesitant still saying like with my like arthritis, like I don't really want to say it, because not that it's a bad thing, it's just it feels like a bigger deal if I say that.
There's a lot around words and those kind of labels that I think people who don't have to live with them don't really understand. You know, it has taken me a very long time to come to terms with just using the phrase blind to describe myself, and every time anybody else uses it to describe me, even Lucy, I still go tense absolutely everywhere. Like,
sorry,
it's not you, it's just that for me that word has become associated with professionals and hospitals and people, similarly kind of older people and that kind of
definitely, yeah.
not being able and things like that. And so
Well, Alice, your condition as well, am I right in saying that it's more prevalent in older people, your heart condition? Or have I got that wrong?
No, it's a mix. So you tend to find there are people who are kind of diagnosed in childhood. So I was 6. I think I know somebody who was 9. Most people are sort of, before they hit puberty. Or you get all the way through to like 45, 50, and suddenly you're like, I can't drive anymore because my sight's deteriorated.
Right.
So it is sort of both ends of the spectrum.
It's like a seesaw, really.
Yeah.
Because I mean, for me, my I mean, I know you can't see it now because you can only see my head and my shoulders. But when I am out and about, it's very, very stark, staringly obvious that I am in a wheelchair, and there is no getting away from the fact that I am disabled. My hands look disabled. My face occasionally will look disabled. It just sort of decides to have this attack of itself where it just the muscles go. I'm like, what is that face? But so I can't get away from the fact that I am disabled. So I learned from a very early age, well, I'm different from everybody else. I've got to try and own this and style it out. Like, I can't walk, but my hair looks great, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Not at the moment because of COVID. But usually my hair's like nice. And so I try my best to use distraction techniques of, I'm in a wheelchair, but look how good my hair is, or do you like my nice top, or look at my lipstick, that kind of thing.
I think it's probably, I mean, particularly I am sure I've said this on the show before, but you could not pay me to be 16, 17 again. There is not enough money in the whole world. And so and going through that with a hidden disability when you're doing the school thing, and then you're also doing the hormone thing, and you're also doing the who am I, where am I going with my life, it's a lot to kind of work out those different elements of your identity anyway, to then throw pain and immobility and at it it's a lot to kind of juggle. And I think it must be really tough, because at least with my eye condition, 99% of the time, it's kind of just as it is, with my friends and stuff at school. If I couldn't see something one day, I still couldn't see it the next day. Whereas, it must be quite tough for you with kind of managing your friends' understanding and your social group's understanding of, because sometimes you don't have pain, sometimes you don't have inflammation. So
I think definitely it's taken me a while to come to terms with the term disabled for myself. But now I realise that it's the only thing that makes people understand how much it affects me as a condition. But even so, people still don't like to associate or use that word with me, like disabled, which is what I now identify with most. So to that, like if I'm on public transport, even with my friends, then people can't see that I'm disabled. So then it's such a difficult thing to try and explain constantly to strangers and to friends that yes, I am disabled, and it does really affect me. And I think especially with it being such a fluctuating condition, then one day I can be running and playing sport, and I used to really love playing sport, and I still do now, even though I don't do it as much. I used to swim for county. I used to play netball. I pretty much tried every single sport ever, because I'd start ballet, for instance, I think to start with, and then I wouldn't be able to do that anymore. And then I did gymnastics, and then I wouldn't be able to do that. And then I did swimming, and then eventually I've just had to stop because it's been so difficult with my condition, going in and out of hospital and being really bad and then being absolutely fine again. And I think people can't come to terms with that. I think like I said earlier about public transport, then I'd get on a bus with my disabled transport pass because I can't walk very long distances, so that I've been provided with a council public transport pass. And
Yeah, like a bus pass thing.
Yeah, a bus pass,
Yeah.
basically. And like every bus driver would just be looking at me like, I think one shouted at me like, "Oh, what is that? Like you're just stealing someone else's," or thinking it's like, and it's just.
I once had a bus driver literally say to me, "I thought you had to be old to have one of those."
What a dog!
That's
awful. The bus pass. Yeah.
I was gonna say, since when do you have to be old to have a dog?
It's just people just can't see it. I might be walking normally that day, but then the next day I won't be able to walk. You know, it's just people can't see it, and then people just think you're faking it.
The thing that always makes me laugh is when I pull up. When I'm sat in the car, I don't sit in my chair. I don't sit in my wheelchair in the car.
Yeah.
So I sit in the front seat with my mum. My mum pulls into the car parking space, and when you see me sat in the car, I don't look disabled because I'm sat in a regular seat. And we pull up in the disabled parking space, and they're like looking. I just say, she's not disabled. She's because I open the door, and then I'm like, if I notice that somebody is proper gawping, and by gawping I mean like mouth open, not blinking, staring. I realise that not many people would know what gawping is. But I will say to Mum, just get that chair out of the back of the car really, really slowly. Give them something to stare at. And I'm like, lift me out very slowly, kind of thing. And then they have to kind of like look like, oh yeah, I wasn't staring. I wasn't staring at all, kind of thing. It's that kind of just don't judge people. It just drives me mad.
Yeah, and I completely understand that as well, because obviously I don't even then get out of the car and then need to use a wheelchair. I just get out the car and start walking, you know?
Yeah.
So often I feel like it's bad, but I feel like when I'm feeling good on a day, but I still need to use the disabled parking space or use my disabled bus pass because I can't go really long distances, then I feel like I almost have to kind of fake hobbling just so people can like see, because people can't understand it in their minds without being able to see you being typically disabled. It's just
humans are very simple simple beings, aren't they? And you're just like, yes, it's all right. We come in different, packages and things. But it's that you just think, just try a bit of empathy, because you don't know. It's like people always say, don't they, about people with mental health conditions, always be kind, because you never know what's going on behind closed doors. It's the same sort of thing. You don't know why that person has a disabled person's bus pass. You don't know why that person needs a blue badge. I think I have been guilty in the past of going, well, why do they need a badge? And it's only through doing things like this and with my work, you kind of realise actually there's a whole disability. It's not just a wheelchair and a walking stick. It's
exactly, yeah. And that's why we need to raise awareness of the fact that anyone can have a disability, and it shouldn't just be a seen thing. It needs to be something that's understood in society for us all to feel more accepted, even though it is a big thing that accepting and making everything accessible, then it still feels like it's not quite there yet.
If you make things accessible for disabled people, you make them accessible for everybody. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I always take away. I think when I become Prime Minister, if I ever become Prime Minister, Queen of the world, one of the two, I am banning stairs.
This is the first I've heard of this.
I am banning stairs and gravel. First off, they're gone. Day after the election, I'm getting rid of every staircase in Britain.
Oh, but gravel's much more environmentally friendly than tar.
Yeah, but I can't move. So
can we come up with some kind of middle ground where there's like a gravel edging to help with drainage?
Yeah, all right then.
Maybe be deputy prime minister and we'll balance it out.
Yeah, because she's being a tyrant again. I don't know why have we gone off on this tangent? I don't know. Alice, do you want to have another question?
So you said that you do a lot of performance, and I got very excited when you said Little Shop of Horrors. Tell us about your performance and some of the roles and stuff that you played.
Yeah, so I haven't this year because of COVID, but I used to do the school shows. They used to do them every year. And I just, from the moment that I joined secondary school, and even in primary school, obviously there's the nativity and things like that that you do. But then I got to secondary school and I've done speech and drama competitions outside of school. But in school, they do shows like, we've done Annie, Billy Elliot, Little Shop of Horrors, Grease. And yeah, so I was Frenchie in Grease.
Oh,
I was one
the
of
best one.
Yeah, with all the pink wig and everything. Yeah, I've just absolutely loved it, and I'm sad that it hasn't been this year because of COVID. And I probably hope to continue doing some sort of performing as a hobby at university as well. But yeah, I also used to do speech and drama. So I'm quite into public speaking. I've done speeches on raising awareness about education for girls in third world countries, and also just acting as a queen or as anything like that, you know. I really enjoy it. Yeah, I used to do drama clubs and stuff.
Fantastic. It's great.
One of the things I always think is really interesting when we have people on the show is, you know, we've had a singer-songwriter who's got autism. So, you know, her ability to kind of communicate and interact and interpret the world is different from most people's, and she kind of funnels that into her music. And then, you know, somebody who's got a condition that can be really physically debilitating has got like the performance bug. I always think those things are really interesting, that, you know, we sometimes are drawn to the things that are the least expected, and are almost the sort of both the opposite and the epitome of the conditions and sort of personalities that we have.
Definitely. And I'm not going to let something like sport or performance that I want to do stop me from doing it, my condition.
And I definitely think it's like a final act of defiance, isn't it? Really, of you know, you can make things extremely difficult for me in other ways, but you're not taking this away from me. I think that has something to do with it. I really do.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we've been talking about with the team over at Versus Arthritis is partly related to that kind of performance, and it's that representation of people with arthritis and kind of chronic illness and chronic pain on TV and in film and in the things that we see just in the media. And I know that you've been quite involved in that campaign, Jasmine. Do you want to talk to us a little bit about kind of what Versus Arthritis are trying to achieve?
Yeah, definitely. So Versus Arthritis are a charity. They are trying to dispel myths about the condition for both old people and for young people like me. They're trying to raise awareness, really, and help support people as well with the condition. And one of their campaigns, The Painful Truth, it's about the representation of chronic pain on TV. And it's something that I really resonated with, because I realised with them talking about this campaign that actually I've never seen a young person like myself with a chronic condition in any film or any TV show that I've seen. And I think it really impacts the way that people then see chronic pain. Often the way that pain is portrayed in films or on a TV show is a really celebrating condition, that it's everything about that character's life. It's what the film or what the TV show is about, is their disability. which isn't something that I want for me at all. I want it to just be something that I have, but I'm my own person away from that. So especially with young people with chronic conditions, then again, none of them are hidden disabilities. None of them are something that's only kind of a side part to their life. It's definitely always physically seen, whether the pain is like a gunshot wound or whether they're in a hospital bed. It's always the main topic for that character. The only time that it maybe isn't the main topic, for instance, with arthritis, the defining feature of the character is when it might be an older grandma that's like a side character with arthritis, and that's kind of seen as maybe normal, having a grandma that might have arthritis in a film, but it's never a young person, and it really impacts then the way that people see pain in other people. And do
you think that if you'd have had the representation of somebody who suffers with pain and arthritis, but it's not their be all and end all, like it's not their whole story, do you think if you had more representation like that for you growing up, do you think that would have helped you maybe understand it and come to terms with it a little bit more, maybe?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, well, firstly, it would help me explain it to other people. I think there's a lot of misconceptions with it, and it makes it a lot harder to explain the condition to other people. And also the fact that because it's not shown to anybody else either in films or TV, then it makes them not know how to respond to somebody who's talking to them about their condition. They haven't seen anything in a film that's someone responding in the correct way to somebody that's talking to them about their disability.
Yeah.
So they then often, I've gotten the wrong reactions, kind of jokes made, or like the older people have arthritis and everything like that, and people don't ever, like, I've always had people saying like, oh, it'll get better, you'll be better soon, don't worry, like it's all going to be fine. And I'm like, no, like I have this condition for my life.
It's not a cold, is it?
It's not a cold. It's not like
arrives for a week and then goes again. Like
exactly, yeah. And obviously those people are just trying to be nice, saying, oh, you'll get better soon, don't worry. But I won't, it's with me forever. And although they're trying to be positive and helpful towards me and supportive, then they haven't seen the correct things to say to somebody in TV and film. And I think that industry really needs to change that, to raise awareness in society.
I think that, the media bears a lot of responsibility for what it puts out there. I think that there's not enough kind of pressure put on media and media productions to show diversity in general. I mean, we still, and I'm not saying this is not an issue and not an experience that should be shared, but we still see a lot of TV programs and films where it's a person of color or a LGBTQ plus person, and the story is all about their experience of that element of their life. And I appreciate that there are stories there that need to be told, and there are stories in the disabled community about those that need to be told, but there are also stories which happen to have a central character who is a person of color or is an LGBTQ plus person or is disabled, and
exactly
also has XYZ going on in their lives.
Exactly. I think it's a lot of forced diversity that then they're trying to make the whole thing about that huge experience in their life, when yes, it is. I'm not saying it is a huge impact on my life, my disability, but it's not all that I am, and I want other people to see that.
Yeah.
Although
it's a bit, I always use the analogy, Jasmine, it's a bit like if we went to a dinner party with you, you would not spend your whole evening just talking about arthritis. it would
Exactly,
probably
yeah.
your arthritis would probably be a little bit of the conversation that lasted 5 minutes tops, wouldn't it? Really,
Yeah.
wouldn't you? Because nobody wants to have that one friend that goes, "Oh yeah, they're in a wheelchair," and that's all they talk about.
Exactly. That's what I try and avoid completely, is talking about my condition all the time. It's not something that I want at all.
No.
I quite often, when I haven't seen friends or somebody for a while, particularly women who are sort of older, sort of 15 years or so older than me, I quite often, it's oh, it's so nice to see you. I haven't seen you for ages. How are you? And then it's, how's your eyes? And I'm like,
Still there.
Yeah.
Still there. Still in my head.
Like, I get it. Like, I understand what you're trying to accomplish here.
Have your eyes got any better?
A lot of the time, the intention is positive. It's to try and support you, but it's just people don't realise the way that they phrase things really does affect you.
Yeah, I always
Alice, that's really made me laugh. That's like somebody going, "How's your legs?" to me. Still crap.
Still not working. Can I sit down and order my coffee before we get into this?
That's so funny. I mean, it's not funny, but it is. People are odd. They're odd. It's I always say, like, just because I'm in a wheelchair, but that is not like when you come around my house for something to eat or we're in the pub, the fact that I am in a wheelchair will probably not be mentioned. If it's hardly mentioned, you'll be lucky, kind of thing. Because it's boring for me to talk about disability all the time. I work in the disability sector, so I do that a lot of the time for work. I don't want to be talking about it outside of work because I live with it, I work with it. I've had enough. I'm full of it now. Can we stop
Exactly.
it? Can we take the record?
You giving up on the podcast then?
No.
All we do
Yeah, no, this is fine. This is my limit now, though. This is my limit. I've had enough now.
And that's just why I think TV and film need to show people with chronic conditions leading a normal life, whatever that is.
Normal, yeah.
I hate the word normal, but just because often it is everything about them. They might, if it's a young person, they might not go to school. That it's always physically seen, and often it's like, oh, they might die. It's so like dramatized to make it a story, but it doesn't need to be. It can just be it needs to be shown in a film in a way that it's not everything about them.
I think it's the story doesn't have to be that person's illness or disability. The story can be that person's marriage, but they happen to be disabled or something.
And the story as well doesn't have to be a struggle, because yes, I have struggle. I have struggles in my life, but my life is not a struggle. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it needs to show that I'm a lot more than just my condition.
Exactly.
And I think that's
I touched on this when I guested on another podcast, and on that I pitched Bridesmaids with everybody has a sensory impairment. That's what I want to see. The film Bridesmaids, but everybody's got a different sensory or communicative difference or impairment. So you can absolutely have all the jokes about the deaf person and the blind person not being able to communicate, because that would be funny, but it would be funny in the way that the rest of Bridesmaids it's funny, because it would just be shocking and uncomfortable, and that's what I want to see. I want to see a film about bridesmaids getting drunk and having terrible love lives, and they happen to be disabled.
Yes, okay. Well, when I do in fact find somebody and I did get married, you can become my bridesmaid, and you could just document the whole thing on a home video camera.
Cool, sounds good. Yeah. Sounds brilliant. I like that we're doing it 90s style with a home video camera and not just my smartphone, but okay.
Whatever, all right. You can take the media student out of the media studies, but you can't take the media studies out of the media student. No, I think it's really interesting, and I also I've said this before in previous shows that I don't think have been out yet, so this is brand new information. I find it very disheartening because I was a media student. I've had experience working in broadcasting, and when I just slowly started to realise actually the media aren't very favourable to people with disabilities, it broke my little heart because I was like, that's not fair. I love television. And it is, you just think to yourself, yeah, come on, it's like 2021 now. Can we have a fresh perspective?
It just needs to be represented more realistically.
Yes.
Because it's either completely dramatized or not at all. And especially with arthritis, like I said, it's such a fluctuating condition that you can easily have a character that has arthritis but is going out and going on adventures and doing whatever else, and also representing the fact that pain is really difficult to live with. It's just, I think it's a huge role for them that they need to step up to.
Yeah, on the odd occasion where I get a few days where I have no pain at all and I think, hang on, what's going on here? What's happening here? I realise, actually, I managed to do quite a lot considering, my hands play up and I've got aches and pains everywhere and I can still manage to function. I think I'm really proud of myself that I can still manage to I am still contributing to society, and I've not given into it. I can't do it. Certain. Do you get that sense of pride, or is it just
definitely to see what I can do, as well as being in and out of hospital all the time? I had 2 years being basically trial and error on different medications. I'd be on a medication, for instance, infusions for like every other week, and then I'd be doing that for 6 months, and then they'd say, sorry, it's not working, you need to try a different one. And this was during the years that it's really like, when you're a teenager, I feel like years go so quickly. You're developing so much in such a short space of time, that from the age of 14 to 16, when I was really ill, that's a huge chunk of what feels like a huge chunk of your life, even though it's only 2 years. You've changed so much in that time, and I feel like I really missed out on that time, because I was just trial and error, and it was really difficult.
But it is a sense of achievement to look back and go, actually, despite all of that crap I've had to put up with, not wanting to call myself an inspiration, but I'm kind of a big deal.
I feel like everyone else has done their GCSEs and done all this sort of same things as I have during those school years, but I've done it as well as all of the other things I've had to deal with, and I think it's definitely made me a better person, more determined, and everything that I do, I put 10 times more effort into it because of the condition. So everything that I do then really matters to me. I feel like I do one a few hours of revision, and that's drained all of my energy for that day, because I think people don't realize with juvenile arthritis, it is an autoimmune condition. So it's not your joints rubbing together like osteoarthritis, which is what old people get. Rheumatoid arthritis, it's your immune system attacking yourself, which really, although it affects my joints, it affects my whole body, my mood, my fatigue is really bad. So everything that you do, so much effort is put into it that then you feel proud once you've done it.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely understand that. And I completely get what you're saying. I understand it completely.
Yeah.
I think disabled people and people with chronic illnesses and things like that are marvels, really. They are fantastic. And I think as well, when it comes to being employees, we're extremely loyal. We work very hard because we understand that, You know, it's important to, you know, we want to do a good job, but
not everything comes easily.
Exactly. And, you know, just because something isn't easy doesn't mean we're going to give up and go, I can't do this, boss. Well, you know,
yeah, definitely.
We are very good problem solvers, because, you know, we have to think of things logistically. How can we make things easier for me as a employee to go and just function in my job anyway? And then when somebody says we've got a bit of a problem because Susan in accounts, again, Susan's back. Susan in accounts has, you know, cocked something up.
Classic Susan.
We are great problem solvers because it's like nothing really phases us, really. We get stressed, and we'll get a bit fraught and a bit frazzled, but we don't, it's not, you know, the problems are solvable. That's the thing that I think disabled people are very good at pointing out, that this is a solvable issue.
A lot more determined than everyone else because of what we've had to go through, as well as dealing with life at the same time.
Yeah, exactly.
Jasmine, what are your kind of hopes and plans for yourself for the future? You said you're just in the process of going through your A-levels. Is university on the cards?
Yeah. So I'm doing my A-levels, maths, physics and biology at the moment. And I hope to go to university in September if COVID and everything calms down a bit. Hopefully to study physics.
Wow.
I think I'm quite interested in medical physics at the moment because of my condition. Then I think it's really made me realise more about patients, and I feel like I'd like to go into research or helping improve the quality of life for patients with disabilities. And I think, I'm not entirely certain yet on a specific job title, but you know, just something that will help patients because I understand more what they're going through.
So medical physics and a bit of musical theatre.
Yeah, probably as a side thing I quite
like. not the two at the same time.
No, that's really great. Well, I wish you all the best with your studies and everything. What is your prognosis for your arthritis? Have they said that it will get worse with age, or, you know, is there things to be mindful of as you get older, or is it just a case of, you know, we'll keep an eye on you, and if something materializes?
I think no one really knows with because the immune system is such a complicated thing that no one really entirely understands yet. I think when I was younger they said that I'd grow out of it, and then it's obviously I'm nearly 18 now and it's still quite bad. I think I'm going to be going through flares. I think sometimes it will be fine and manageable, and then other times I will be really bad, but I'm not sure. No one really knows about the future with children with arthritis because it's not a very well-known area yet. I'm on a clinical trial at the moment for a drug to be licensed in children. So I'll probably be on that clinical trial for 5 more years or something.
Right.
But that's after all of my trial and error on all of those different drugs for a couple of years. Then they said, okay, we'll just put you on this clinical trial. And it's definitely made me better. I'm still not 100%. I still have joint pain every day. And I go through flares of really bad days. But I think overall then I'm a lot better than I was last year.
Well, and hopefully, if you get a career with the research for arthritis, you will be part of the change, won't you? So hopefully.
Yeah, I do really like volunteering with Versus Arthritis and other charities as well, just trying to raise awareness and improve like young people's care and involvement in their own treatments. I think it's a really important thing.
Jasmine, where can our listeners go to find information about Versus Arthritis and perhaps get involved and find out a bit more information about what they do and their aims?
They're on all social media, so Facebook, Instagram, all of that. They have that they're sharing, you know, regular tips for people with arthritis, but also videos and things to inform yourself about the condition, and particularly with this campaign, then they're sharing tips for the media and anyone in the TV and film industry that could then use to help represent pain in film and TV more in the future. They also have a website which again, all of the articles will be shared on there. They often do videos, they do everything really, little videos, they do articles, anything. So yeah,
we can put all the details of that in your show guide, which will be on our website alongside the transcription of this episode. So if anybody's looking for more information about Versus Arthritis, you can pop along to there and find out some more information.
And their big campaign, the campaign that we're kind of piggybacking off of for this week's episode is the Painful Truth, #PainfulTruth campaign. So give that hashtag a follow, share it around, and help, raise awareness and promote the campaign, guys, because I think it's something that a lot of you out there, especially people with chronic illness and chronic pain, I think it's something that's going to be important to you. So
yeah, definitely.
We really wanted to cover this subject because we know about arthritis in old people, but not many people understand it and are aware of it in the younger generation. So it's something that's really important to us, because this is what this podcast is all about, highlighting people's, disabilities and chronic illness, and the fact that just a label of arthritis, just because you think it is an old person's problem, it's not. So this was right up our street, really. So no, thank you so much for your time today, Jasmine.
That's all right. Just another point, although it is Versus Arthritis, then anyone with a disability or anyone in chronic pain at all, then this campaign is really relevant to you, because although it is the charity is Versus Arthritis, then I think anyone in chronic pain and with a disability needs to be represented more in film and TV. So
yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much for your time, Jasmine.
That's all right.
I hope it's been a nice experience.
Yeah, it's been lovely chatting to you. Thank you.
Great stuff.
Thanks. All right. Thanks, Jasmine.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the lABLEd podcast. If you like the show, please rate, review and subscribe. You can follow us on social media at lABLEd podcast.
Thanks go to our editor Adam Hall, our music composer Maisie Crunden, and our graphic designer Sarah Coley.
We'll see you next time.